Yo, yo, yo.
It's Friday.
Friday, yeah.
Mate, we're all in really good moods today, so I think this is going to be a great.
Because it's payday as well, isn't it? It's end of the month.
I don't even know if it's paid. I'm just in a really good mood. I'm just
Yeah.
in a really good mood.
Yeah. I've been demoted though, just to bring the mood down a bit. Look, I'm in the basement. I've been moved to the basement, and they've taken me off the pay.
Yeah, finally, family took action. I think it's
Yeah.
by the time that you are accountable of your actions, mate, and you're in the place that you deserve.
Yeah.
Yeah. The truth is, I'm in my daughter's teenage daughter's bedroom.
That's
So if you
very
see
honest.
any
Hey T,
books in the
thanks for the room.
How's everyone there? Let's see who's in chat. Drop your name in the chat, where you're from, as usual.
Yeah, I wanna know how everyone's week is.
Yeah.
Come on,
How
rate your week
was
out
it?
of 10. Drop it in the chat. I'm on a
How was-
solid 9 this week, mate. Big fan.
Yeah, how so?
I don't know. I just feel good. I feel great. I've just wrapped up like a big stint, a big agency, and I feel good. And I'm going to miss those guys, man. I've seen them every day for like 6 months. Mark is here. I love this kid, Mark. Man, I need to.
Hey, Mark. How's it going, Ian? What's
Hey,
up?
Mark.
Ian's there.
Ian also is
Out in New
there.
York.
The
Mark,
mates.
Ian, what's yours? What's your week been like? 10 out of 10. Was it Mark that said 11 last time?
I think so. And he also was like in the chat about.
What's up, Lisa?
Lisa from Ontario, Canada. Lisa, how is it winter yet there? How is it? Tell us if you're sailing towards Christmas already with the wintry mood. Mark said beyond 11. Mark is having every week is better.
Mark's 3 Negronis in though. Like he's well.
Yeah.
Mark's
always
like secret ingredient, your special ingredient of like how you getting beyond 11 every week, man.
Right, let's go.
What about you guys? Or what was your highlight of the week?
Yeah, Ash, come on, tell us.
What's been my highlight? I had some great meetings. My biggest highlight is
Come on.
Looks like we're coming to Cyprus again.
Oh.
99.9%.
Yeah.
99 from
and doing a strategy on a really special industry to you, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I made up, man.
Close to your heart and firmly in your belly.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, we'll talk about it more obviously when it comes. It's a concrete thing, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, and you guys will definitely know more about it. So watch this space.
Yes, mate.
Yeah.
All right, guys, what are we doing today? What's special about today? Because we every time try really, really hard to bring on something special.
This guy's a G. Like I always say this every week, but this guy's a G.
Yeah, I want to ask the audience here, like, have you ever come into a checkmate situation where you've been making moves in your career and then all of a sudden you kind of hit a brick wall, you're stuck for whatever reason? I know I have in my journey, and it can be really deflating, and nothing seems to go your way, and you have no clear kind of pathway out. Just let us know in the comments if you have. And for those who are kind of probably nodding their heads, this episode's definitely for you, because we're going to talk about how to reinvent your creative career, and I guess any career really, because I know we've not just got creatives here, we've got branders, we've got strategists, and we've got business leaders in here, and I'm sure it'll all apply to everyone. But yeah, it's just about reinventing your career, resetting and stuff. And as always, we have the man to share his story, and hopefully you'll get inspired by it yourself. In fact, I know you will. We've just been having a nice chat behind the scenes just before we came on, and it's going to be a good one. We'll get into it, shall we, guys?
Shall we? And just before that, don't be shy, guys. Like, ask questions. Yeah. Be selfish. Take away as much as you can from the situation. Because
connect with each other. That's what this thing's all about.
100%.
Yeah. Right, I'm just having to navigate my screen so I can see.
Come on, Ash. You and navigate don't get along.
Okay, so this guy, he's got over 25 years experience in the creative industry. He's navigated plenty of those tough situations that we've been talking about just now, both for himself and for the many he's mentored along the way. He's grown and led creative teams throughout his career, and he brings a wealth of wisdom and insight. He's a creative director and D&AD mentor based in New York. And we're thrilled to have him with us here today. So please welcome around the water cooler, Ben Greengrass.
Greengrass. Here he is. Yes.
Hey Ben, welcome to the show.
What a dog. Wow, this is happening.
Where are you?
We've just had a chat now, but how are you doing for the rest of them out there? How's things?
I'm good. I'm feeling, it's been a pretty good week. We've had a couple of, me and a colleague from our agency went to Denver, Colorado for the first time to a design conference, and I was telling you guys before, it was really just, it wasn't like a hardcore networking experience. It was really just to go and sort of, immerse ourselves a little bit in what's going on, but also, just to kind of talk to people. I hate the word network. We were talking. We were just,
bonding.
There are stories and getting involved.
So how would you rate your week, Ben? What's your score?
I'll give it. I'm really excited about this. I feel like I'm probably more excited about this than I was about going to the conference. To be fair. I'm not going to give it a 10. I mean, I'd never give it a 10. I'll probably give it like 7.5. But this could be right to a 9 after this. Who knows?
Yeah. We're gonna get you peaking, mate. Honest.
Excellent.
So let's start with your a little bit of a background in terms of how you started. You're originally from England, and you studied in York. You worked in Leeds. When did you move to New York, and why?
This answer is always a bit cloudy, but I originally came to New York in 2010, which was so I worked at a company called Elmwood in the UK in Leeds. I worked in the Leeds studio, and I was offered the chance to help kick off the new studio in New York. At the time I was actually going for a bit of reinvention. I was figuring out what I wanted to do, and it just hit at the perfect time. So I said yes, having no idea what was gonna happen. House got sold, packed my boxes and came over, and it was kind of it was very frightening, but at the same time I knew it was something that if I didn't take that chance I'll never get it again, really. So, but that's where I ended up meeting Wes. Wes took me under his wing, and both Leeds United fans.
Sorry for that, Ben. That must have been traumatic.
That's the underdogs, isn't it? It's the.
I
think he was talking more about you coming under my wing.
Exactly. I get that a lot. Both things, probably.
Nah, that was great. It's a great integration into New York, and I think I've done that with many people. It's great, and it's amazing how football can kind of bring everyone together. I mean, at least we've actually talked about our career and our jobs, because still to this day, there's many people in New York that I still don't know what they do. And I just used to see them every day or every Saturday out football, and I couldn't tell you what they do. So it just shows you, man.
Yeah.
Football's the bond.
I want to thank you for that, Wes, because
it's all right.
I've probably never thanked you for it, but that was
it's all right. Well, we've shared many beers, so that's as good enough thanks for me, mate. To be fair.
Cool, man.
So this conversation with you and Wes started, that's how we came up with this theme, reinventing your career. Take us through, I suppose, that point. Like you said, when you moved to New York, that was the start of it, right? But was there a pivotal moment and a point where, or you're going through the transition now? Where did this conversation start with you and Wes in the background?
I think because Wes and I, we constantly kept in touch. We've always talked about different aspects of the creative industry, I guess, and what we're doing. And I think we got talking probably at the end of last year, maybe the beginning of this year. I was going through sort of a bit of soul searching as far as what I was doing with my career and everything. And then, ultimately the D-Day came in February when I decided to leave the agency, or the agency that I was at, and what next. But I think that question, I didn't really have any answers at that point. I think, it was, you have comfort in the agency world, you get a regular paycheck, you have your benefits and everything like that. So to try and exit that into a little bit of the unknown is super scary. But I tried to, I was there and I was, okay, I'm going to do something different, but I didn't really know what that was going to be. And I think the first thing I really wanted to do was try and not I say take some time off, but disengage a little bit from the industry, right? You look at people who've done that in the industry, people like Stefan Sackmeister or if you know Mr. Bingo, had a year off and went traveling somewhere and came back, and I didn't have that long, I'm talking 2 or 3 months and then I need to get back into it. But within those 2 or 3 months, I tried to do some different things that, I'd never really done before, right? Just to kind of disengage while I figured out what I was going to do. And I think, the four kind of options I felt I had were to go and get another job doing the same, probably the similar thing that I was already doing, or go freelance. In the industry at the moment, freelance is a it's a hard place to be for anyone. Or to start something myself, or to go. I mean, this was again an option on the plate was to go client side, right? Go work for a brand. But in the end, I found a fifth option, which was to sort of go a little bit more independent, but hook up with a couple of like-minded people who I knew I could work with. Like you guys got together.
Yeah, sounds right.
It's not an accident. That's because you vibed and you realised probably each of you did something a little bit different. You kind of built some magic together, right? And that's kind of how I felt. So, I ended up joining forces with a couple of friends. And you're always told, well, that's not a good idea, right? In industry, just work with your friend, but we're very different people. So, a friend Tet, who I worked with back at Elmwood, who's probably one of the best designers I've ever worked with, and to this day I'm in awe of what he does and how he does it. And another guy called Jason Lombardo, who is like an industry. He's well known in the industry. Everyone loves him, and he's the hardest working man on the planet. So I felt like these like-minded people, these people who I wanted to work with. I felt like this could lead to some sort of magic, some sort of success.
Those other people around you, were they in a similar situation? Or were you convincing?
Tet had sort of exited the agency world a few years ago to freelance, to start his own thing. Jason had done a lot of work with a brand called Cookies over on the West Coast, a cannabis brand, which fundamentally had worked on, built up, done a hell of a lot of work for, and Tet had joined him to do that as well. So they had this thing going on. But to really sort of consolidate everything, bring these forces together, and think critically about building some kind of business. But we have some rules and we have some stipulations about what we want to do. We want to bring the fun back into it. We want to make sure that we're working with great people, great clients. I think that's a main objective. And it's not just about doing the cool work. We want to do cool work, but we want to do work we believe in as well. So it's kind of trying to bring some of those forces together. And and I feel at the moment the team that we've got, it's us three sort of leading it, but we call them co-conspirators. They're people in the industry who, we trust. It's not random freelancers for different jobs. It's people we've worked with, we know their skill sets, and they're all experts in their own world. So, we have this pool of people that hopefully, when we call upon them, that they're dying to work with us, and we bring them in for projects.
And Ben, did you always have these chapters in your life where change had to happen, and you took the unknown route? Was that a familiar kind of place, but different but familiar in a way?
Yeah, I mean, I think you only understand that when you actually look back, right? You kind of look back and see what you've done, and think, oh God, I was in England, and I took the leap to New York to the unknown, and then I left an agency that was predominantly working on packaging and big CPG clients, and then went to an agency that was all about social impact and digital and brand identity. So it was kind of like, I think it's when I look back, I've done some real sort of hefty twists and turns and moved into different areas, and I think actually that helped me to where I am now, to say, okay, let's do something else, right? Let's do something different. So I don't know. I think it was never really planned that way, but I think it sort of happened. But I think one common factor, I think, is just sort of being a little bit comfortable with the unknown. I think, I mean, creative bravery or whatever you want to call it. I feel like, that looking back, I did make some sort of brave decisions, and I think that has helped. sort of
It's interesting.
shape where I am, and it's a journey, isn't it? It never ends. I'm not like, this isn't the final thing I'll do. This is kind of part of what I'm doing at the moment. But you got to be a little bit comfortable with that unknown.
Yeah, I love that, and I think I share the same values. Like I'm an entrepreneur, and I took a big leap of faith many times, and that uncertainty, I think it's scary at the beginning, but you know what, Ben, it becomes addictive. Like I'm addicted to that uncertainty of what's going to happen in a couple of weeks, couple of months, because as an entrepreneur, you're always chasing for the next thing, right? Always there is no end, and I don't know if I will ever find comfort into a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
It's that spice that tickles you, which is interesting. And in all these changes, was there ever a time where it did not work out?
Fingers crossed. Currently, no. I think your point though is great, because I think thinking about doing something is way scarier than actually just getting on and doing it. Right?
Oh man!
And then when you're doing it, you look back and think, well, why didn't I do it? Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of, I think the act of doing is the antidote to worry and fear and worrying about doing it. And probably from February to June, when I was trying to disengage, I was doing some weird and wonderful things that I'd never done before, right? But in the back of my mind, I'm still, okay, I've got so long to do this. What am we actually going to do when I need to get back on a horse? And that was, in a way, it did kind of disrupt the disengagement. It did, it wasn't, I look back, it's good, but it could have been better if I'd have really, really gone for it.
That's scary to me, like a couple of months, a couple of weeks without knowing what to do. Like I find that way more scary than, I don't know, I need to bring XYZ amount of money by the end of the year, and this is what I'm gonna do. It's fascinating. I've never actually been in my life in that position of just go and explore.
Yeah, I mean, I ended up. So, there I am in middle of February, right? What am I going to do? I've got some time on my hands. So I just started to just kind of do some things, right? Yeah. And it was travel was a big one, right? Travel is, if anyone knows me, they know that I'm a big fan of New Orleans. Like I must have been there 15 times. And first place I went, day after I left that company, off to New Orleans, right? And then, then I went to, I ended up going to Palm Springs. I went in a desert in a bubble and meditated and did a sound bath. I went to 3 different music festivals, which were a country festival, a jazz festival, and a techno festival, right? Not because I love those genres or anything particularly, just to one was in a desert, one was in Detroit, one was in, New Orleans jazz. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of which was more about the food than the music, I have to say. But it was, it was just doing some things. And read a couple. Well, I say I read a couple of books. That's a lie. I hate reading. I kind of bought a couple of books that I sort of one I half read, and the other one that I did actually read, and tried to just look into different places, right?
What were those books? Did they influence you?
I brought them to the party. So this one, everyone knows this book, right? I can't go a week without somebody referencing this book, The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. And actually, when Wes was asking about a title for this, it was one of the quotes on one of the pages, which was about sometimes you have to disengage to engage, right?
I use that actually as my post title. So
yeah, which I think is perfect. That really helped me, because this isn't a book you read from front to back. This is a book that you can open at any page.
Nuggets.
Take what you want from it, and it's brilliant. It's like I just just get it, because if you're creative, this is the book you need to read.
What was the context behind that quote for Rick Rubin then?
Well, having not read the whole thing, it's not it's probably just me opening it. Oh, that's great. But it's full of those things, right? And as a creative, I don't think these things are meant to be the answers to anything. They just help you think of an idea, frame something, and then use it. The other book actually was this one, which was it's called The Alchemist. And I was so one thing I did was I went to Barcelona to a design conference called OFF. there's this madcap guy called Josh Davis who he's like a digital designer, right? But he did a similar thing. He basically started his own business and he was just doing the things that he wanted to do. And he just one of his talks, he recommended this book. He said, read this book, right? And it's not a design book. It's not a self-help. It's like an ancient story of following your dreams or realizing your destiny, that kind of thing, which ain't the kind of book that I would ever touch, right? But I read it and it's brilliant. So it's like, again, it's this idea of, a little bit of destiny, a little bit of the unknown, a little bit about following a path somewhere. And that to me was brilliant. So I feel, again, check it out.
So there is a movie as well, by the way, actually. Really? I just Googled it. Yeah, it's
really?
Yeah, I think it's in production. Yeah.
I think any profession, whether definitely creative and even like strategy as well. Like, I think it's important to step outside of your own zone. And I'm not on about just zone of comfort. I'm just thinking about, just how opening up that universe a little wider than that tunnel vision. Because as strategists and creatives, you've got to do that. Like, you've got to borrow from other places. So was that intentional for you when you did that, or was it just the benefit that you saw after doing it?
Again, none of this was this was just kind of things that happened along the way to where I am. I think I heard a quote once. I don't know who said it, but it was, "Don't look to design to design."
Yeah,
like a little bit of that, right? You're looking at. I buy all the design books, all there, right? You buy those things to sort of, look at the industry you're in, but actually looking outside of the industry, trying to find some things in places that you never knew before, right? I think that was kind of the loose sort of objective.
Well, I was always going to ask this, but I'll ask it earlier than I anticipated. But if you were to kind of going into Ben being a mentor, and somebody came to you and said, "Right, I've hit this metaphoric brick wall. What would you suggest I do to try and rediscover myself? What would you say to them now, knowing what you've gone through?"
Yeah, good question. I feel like talking is talking to people and engaging with people, and whether it's within the industry, peers, or people that you respect, or people, just friends, right? And just kind of get some perspectives and get some opinions on things. Because I think, again, I said it earlier, I'm not a big fan. I hate networking, really, right? But if I reframe networking, it's more just this sort of, you're just carrying on a conversation. And, when I was in that sort of, that moment when I wasn't sure what I was going to do next. I reached out to a lot of people, had a lot of conversations. It's interesting. You realize, you're talking to people that, it's a bit, the parallel I draw, it's a bit like the pandemic. The pandemic when everybody was just like, oh shit, we can't leave our houses. We're all going to talk to each other and get on Zoom, right? And do all that kind of stuff. Like that, right? You're in this sort of bit of a void. So you're like, well, who can I have a conversation with? Who can I talk to? Who's going to and some people are really good at sort of coming back and talk. Other people just ignore you. So you've got to you just got to find your way through. I look back now and I know the people that I'll talk to again, and the people that I trust in, and the people that have given me good advice. And I think that's it. I think it's just to sort of, if you're sat there thinking, I'm in this roadblock, I'm not enjoying what I'm doing, I need to, shake it up a little bit. I think the first thing you do is to sort of, have some conversations and start to,
But do you feel you've got to get to a point of kind of vulnerability to get to that acceptance place? Or
yeah, you have to as well. And I think, I don't want to sit here and slag off something like LinkedIn, right? But LinkedIn can make you really anxious, right? Yeah. When you go on there and you see people talking about,
any social media platform.
Those places can make you quite anxious because you're kind of hearing other people's stories and you're connecting to those stories personally. And it's just a bit of doom and gloom, right? It's doom scrolling, it's stuff. So I think, trying to get away from that a little bit and sort of, just concentrate on your own.
I've found in conversations and any content that you put out there, we talk about it all the time, is be the first one to let your guard down. Like once you do that, others do it as well.
Yeah.
And you know, they start relating to you, and you start having proper conversations, other than that kind of social media highlight reel that you see all the time that you just spoke about. And I think that's key. Like
100%.
it's hard to do, but it's important that you do, because you'll find that once you do it gives permission, you know.
It does, and I think you said it is really hard to do, because I think we are kind of hardwired by this social media platform to showcase only the best of us, you know, and only the successes. And you remember, guys, like couple of weeks ago, I was invited to this event which is called Fuck Up Nights, where they invite people to talk about their fuck ups, right? And I talk about my anxiety, my procrastination, you know, the suspected epilepsy, you know, all these kind of things that I didn't say to anyone. Only 10 people in my life knew it, to a crowd of 200, and the reception was amazing. People were saying, thanks for opening up, you know, it inspired me to talk about it. And I think for me it was a big journey of also allowing myself to be myself externally and removing the fear of being judged. And as soon as I've done that, a lot of people became supportive. And it's similar to going back to your point, to talking to people. If we just talk to people and actually say the things that we really want to say and we really want to think, the outcome that we get back, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's tenfold.
Yeah, also I think, you know, you hit the nail on the head, really. Like vulnerability is a superpower in the end. But I think what people do is they have this sort of let's talk about the industry persona, right? It's like,
yeah,
I'm successful, I've done all this.
Any industry, yeah, that's not only creative.
Yeah, I'm a high flyer, I've done all this stuff, right? But I think having conversations about, you know, real conversations about how hard it is out there, how you know, like how the industry is struggling, how, you know, things, you know, aren't always as easy as you think. I think once you really hold on to that and move into that kind of conversation, you know, the fact you fact your skin at the beginning of starting a business, you know, all that kind of thing, you end up sort of, it makes you feel a lot better and you feel a lot happier about it.
Yeah.
100%.
You look back, don't you?
And Wes taught me that, you know, like one of the things that fucked me up about British culture is that, like, how you doing? Yeah, good. You know, everyone is like that. It's like one of those questions that everyone uses it, but no one really uses it. You know what I mean. And I think Wes always thought. And I lived in UK for 10 years, and I love the country. I run my agency like a UK agency. You know, I love many things about it. But one of the things that fucked me up was really this: apologizing for nothing. Again, no meaning. And also asking the question, how you doing, for nothing. Yeah, I'm good. And then West always kind of like goes in, no, but really.
Yeah.
Right.
It's that British stiff upper lip thing, isn't it? It's kind of like you're always going to say you're good. Yeah, you're right. It's like, how you doing? I'm good.
No, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm good. All right. Okay.
I'm not fine at all. I'm like, they're you know, let's talk. Let's.
And then the next breath is literally you breaking, falling to your knees, going, I'm actually in a fucking shit place. But that's a great segue into my next question. So the next question was,
you're welcome, Wes.
I was going to say things like this, conversations, like
100
therapy in me. That's like, you know what I mean? It's rather than, you know, like this again, the British, the English, I'm good at.
But I think as men as well, like, I know I don't want to go down that route, but like men we just don't like to talk, like caveman mentality, like showing weakness, showing vulnerability.
Men up, isn't it? Men up.
Like even what Mark's saying, like, you know, just showing vulnerability without apology, like that's how we need to live.
Fine.
You know, like I think another thing I want to kind of bring you in here, because I know you and I know you can answer this, but like explain to people that may be going through this without recognizing it or realizing it, what flags were starting to appear for you to know, like, shit, something needs to change. Because I've been guilty of it through my career and tried, because of my personality, I don't like giving in. I'm a fight till the death of me, and if I feel like it's worth fighting for, I'll keep going. But sometimes things have to happen to give you a reality check to go like, yo, you gotta give in on this one, you know, like. So what do you think the red flags are to people that are like listening in? If they're recognizing some of these things, like what do you think those are, or what were yours, most importantly?
Yeah, I mean, I never claim to have all the answers, but for me it was, you know, I asked myself the question, like, why am I doing this? Why am I a designer? Why am I, a creative director? Why am I in this particular place, right? And the answers are, for me, it goes back to that book. It's the creative act. It's enjoying doing what you're doing. It's the buzz you get from doing creative things. And you in the beginning of your career, it might be about I'm working on this really cool job for this cool client, and that's what I want to talk about. It's not about that. It's more just about really, really resonating with what you're doing, enjoying what you're doing. And I wasn't. So I think the way I describe it, I think I got in a bit of a creative director tangle, right? I was kind of like, I look at my calendar and I'm in meetings all day long, right? 5 days a week. I'm like, when is it, and then on the side, I might do a little bit of creativity, right? Or I might do some work. But for me, it's always about the work. It's always like, that's the thing that lights my fire, that wants me to get out of bed in the morning, right? Is to do the work. So to get back to that. So that was a flag. That was kind of like, okay, how can I break this? And I tried, as a creative director in an agency, you have power, right? You can affect these things, right? You can say, like, I don't want to be in meetings all day. I'm going to take all the meetings off my calendar and just go off and do it. And I did. Sometimes I would say, right, not doing these meetings. Today's the day when I'm just going to get together with the team and work hands-on, do some things. And that's when I got the most joy. But I think modern day creative directors are, and some creative directors love this, that they are sort of going up through the ranks in their career, and they get to a point where actually
they stop designing.
The leadership, the reviews, the client stuff, that's what they actually end up doing, right? And talking. But I'm less of a good talker and more of a good doer. And I think that's where I really struggled. So that kind of flagged.
I think that's great advice there. Just that little bit there about, it doesn't have to be a big reset. It just needs to be a little slight change of your schedule and how you do things. And if you've got the power to make those changes, just turn around and say, you know what, this day or this morning, I can't have these meetings. I'm blocked in to do this.
Yeah.
Then do that and try that. And that's resetting, isn't it?
In a micro level, yeah.
Yeah, and I think I imagine other people in creative directors in agencies, the pressure from the business to do these things.
It's hard. Yeah,
it's hard, right? It's hard to
of course.
And also, creative director at the design team gets the most dollars an hour, right? So every time you do the work, you're blowing budgets, and it's not necessarily always scoped into what you're doing. So,
I had a similar path to you, and I mean, you know this, but my dream was always be a director in New York. That was what I was driving for. And a bit like you, when you get to that level, I was all about the people. I still am. I still speak to my old CD now. He's a great friend of mine, and I just wanted to support them and work for them. And the briefs were all about helping people and achieving something. Mm-hmm. And it turns into, like you say, just back-to-back meeting to travel to meeting to, and it just disappears. It just, I think that was kind of I had a hard reset, not just a mental reset, but I had to kind of stop and change and redirect and figure things out when I got back to this country. But I went through a similar journey, I think, to what you've been through, just trying to fall back into that everyday scenario, and then realizing I can't do this shit. I think I wanted to touch on this earlier, but I had some camera issues. But when we face this fear of the unknown when we go out and do it ourselves, but then when we got through that fear and we're in there every day doing it for ourselves, the fear is going back to that 9 to 5, and that's the shit now that fucking won't let me go back. I'm just I need to make this work. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah, and also when you the thing I'm experiencing now is, okay, right, there's unknowns, there's uncertainties about what's going to happen next, but I'm way happier doing it, and I feel like going back to that point of actually getting in and not thinking about doing it, actually doing it, and then it helps you get through, and hopefully fingers crossed the magic will happen. That's
I think what you've realized in your journey, Ben, and just from having our conversations recently, is you now know that it's okay to turn around and ask for some advice, or you now know it's okay to just pick up a call and talk to someone and be like, I need some help on this shit. And that's okay. Like we do it as a 3 here. Like fuck, like how do we handle this? Like we prove each other's work. We ask advice on proposals. Like it becomes, even though we're not in the same business every day, it becomes this circle, this bubble of a safe place. And I hate that word in this context, but it's a forum where we can actually be vulnerable. We can be brave. We can be open and accepting, right? And we can be, I guess, in a way, a bit more selfish, because this is for us and we need to make this fucking work. And however we find ways through this, we'll do it, and I think you're in that bubble now, man.
I think the other thing as well, the other red flag, I've just thought of another red flag. I was like, I didn't feel like I was being myself. I felt like I was trying to be what the agency wanted, or what
perception of that role.
That's why I brought selfish in. Like, I think you have to be selfish to realize and recognize this shit ain't for me. Like, I'm fed up of doing what everyone else wants me to do. Like, and no disrespect to people who's been above me in my career, but when you firmly believe that your approach and what you're bringing to the party is far stronger for the client and the end brief than just ticking the box of the business, that's when shit was like, nah, man.
I love that, because the definition of a creative director is not to be selfish, because you're managing people to achieve a common goal for the good of the agency and the good of the client, isn't it? So it's not about you.
Yeah, and that was my flag. Like, I was
Isn't
like, man, I'm done. Like, check me out here at this point. You know what I mean? And then COVID came along, and that's a different story. But
I was about to mention the pandemic as well, because I feel like that was another factor, right? That was like we're all thrust into like Zoom windows and working remotely. I was always best at being in a room with people and throwing things around and sticking things, and having those moments where you can mentor somebody or talk to a young designer about a way of doing something, right down to, this is the way that you use a X-Acto knife for, or the way that you do this, the things that you can't do when you're stuck in a Zoom room. And I think, again, that was hard. And some of the designers that I'm talking about were people that, they graduated in a pandemic. They were like, their first experience in the world of design was remote, right? Old school, 20 plus years of working 5 days a week in a studio. I know now there's flexibility and that's great for people, but, and I think, that's actually a benefit, but also there has to be that sort of connection, right? So yeah, I think that definitely had an impact too.
Is that where your mentoring side came from? Was it in a kind of company and you see new people come up, or do you incorporate that mentoring outside of the place of work as well? Like just it's available for others out there.
Yeah, and I think
Wes does that.
Yeah, I think from my point of view, so it was always part of my job or part of the industry, right? So when I was in Leeds, for instance, I'd work with Leeds University, I'd set briefs, I'd sort of bring a designer into the agency, somebody that was, obviously shining above everybody else, did that for a few years. Then when I ended up coming to New York, it was looking for how do I, do a similar thing, and D&AD actually was the catalyst for that, because, they weren't when I first got to New York, they were starting to put some sort of feelers into America and start to build what they were doing, and I jumped on that wagon quite quickly, and through the D&AD shift program, which is really about helping young creatives enter the industry that don't have like degree level qualifications, predominantly BIPOC, that kind of thing, and helping people sort of like elevate, right, and tapping into that talent pool that's out there that don't always get recognition or don't always get the chance. And that was really floating my boat, for years. I'm still involved in that. So yeah, so I think that I get a lot from again going back to working with young designers and being close to people and passing on hopefully some of the things that I've learned to the new generation. Also learning from them, right? I feel like
we can't be ignorant to that. No.
Being quite old and learning, listening to a young creative talk about what they're thinking about and what their perception brilliant. It's like
I'm totally with that. Like from a strategic level and creative level, like if you don't keep in tune with that next gen, I think we'll get old and grey and floppy very quickly, and that
Yeah.
that ain't good. You know what I mean? Like we need to stay alive. We've got to have a pulse.
Yeah, and to do that, you got to throw your ego out the window. You're not bigger and better than anybody. You're literally like, this is about creativity, right? In different forms, right? And that's where I get the buzz.
Yeah, 100.
Did you see any differences from how we were how we were used to do things before pandemic and after pandemic in the creative industry?
Yeah, I think the pandemic ushered in a new era of connectivity with software and applications and your Figmas and your Miros and all those things, right? And how you would then take those things and collaborate.
Yeah.
I think I've seen, currently, naming no names, we're working on a project with a client, and that is a very collaborative kind of world that we're working in, in the Miro boards, and kind of it's a little bit more in real time rather than you get your brief, you go away for 3 weeks, and there's a big ta-da moment, right? It's almost like you're kind of working a little bit more hand in hand. I think you still have to have time to do your magic and not always, take this constant feed from a client. But I think, that definitely has sort of changed, right? And I think in a way that can be good too. And I think the connectivity within the business, like the last agency, we could have all our Miro, everyone had access to everything, all the projects. So you could just hop into a project that you weren't necessarily too close to see what was going on. And you could, you take it or leave it, right? I think I'm fresh eyes looking at this. I think this, right? What do you think?
Cross-pollination.
Exactly. And I think that has changed, definitely. I think, because the only way you could do that before the pandemic, if you were in the studio 5 days a week, was to barge into a meeting or go into a brainstorm or whatever it might be, right? You didn't always get the chance. So I think the kind of the collaboration through the technology. I mean, obviously AI coming into the industry in a fucking very heavy way at the moment, and and again, people are catching up with that and using it in different ways. But I think that's going to change. I've sat through so many talks with the conferences I've been to about AI and what it's going to do and what it potentially could do. And I think that it's going to be you have to get on the bus or you're going to get run over. I think you got to do.
We always have this thing where how soon will the topic of AI come up in a?
I wanted to talk about AI. But it's completely different, but I think anyone needs to download the Mac app, the Makeup app, and they have the best AI generated lipstick, preview ever.
Wes, I'm afraid to ask this question. What was the reason for you to download that?
I was mind blown. It came up in conversation, and then Luce was like, "What do you think to this lipstick shade?" And I was like, "What?" And he showed me the thing, and it was there. And you literally hold it up to your face, and you can change your lip color. It's mind blowing. Everyone in the chat, download it and screenshot. Honestly,
yeah. If you have to take away something from this talk, take away that.
Yeah.
And Ben, I wanna be a bit more selfish in here and tap more into your experience. So how do you sustain creativity? I think it's one of those very fucking hard things to do, isn't it? I mean, you got timelines, you got to deliver, you have to be creative on a Monday afternoon at 3, and your wife is at home and it's cloudy outside. It's not happening, but you have to, isn't it? Because the expectations are if you go to the mechanic, he will fix your car no matter what, right? So if you go to an agency, the creative team will deliver the creativity no matter what. So how do you manage that based on your experience?
I think working in an agency or trying to build your own agency is very different. And I think sometimes I just have to I'm talking from a very sort of tactical way to just focus on what you're doing and do the creative things you want to do. Just shut the door and put your music on and really get your, and just say, this is the time when I'm doing these things, right? And when you're in an agency, you literally can't do that because there's all other people asking you questions and they want you in a meeting and all these other things. I think to really sustain it, you've got to have time to think, right, and time to like be able to be creative. And that is what I think a lot of particularly senior creatives struggle with, because time is such a, you know, it's drained so much that you end up, you know, losing that creativity. So, and also I think you've just got to just keep things moving and do things, right. And if you don't do that, I think you will struggle. You know, I think, you know, and it is easy to be in an agency and settle a little bit and kind of be comfortable where you are and do the things you need to do. But I think you have to go further, and you have to try and push it harder and really get to the, you know, the creative places you want to end up in, really.
Yeah. All right, let's get a little bit personal. Come on, I know you've been selfish, mine, but I want to know some fun stuff.
About the lipstick?
No,
it's the shower
we'll talk about that offline.
Wes loves the shower question, don't he?
Yeah. What do you sing in your shower?
What you sing in the shower? That's 100%. Like, what's your ballad? What do you belt out in the shower, Ben?
Well, I sing in the shower. Oh my god!
Go on. I know you do. I know you well. So.
Well, having been to all these different musical festivals and stuff, my playlist has had an absolute had a total revamp over the last sort of 6 months.
Come on, mate. It must be a classic. It's got to be like, you know, mine's like My Girl or a banger.
I'm going to join the wave of Oasis fans who are probably going to scrabble for tickets when the dates are released today sometime, I think, in the US. But yeah, I did a karaoke. If I go karaoke, I'm Oasis all the way. I'm going to warm up. Don't look back in.
I don't think we ever did karaoke, did we? My song was always Journey. I always sung Journey on karaoke.
Did you do shower together though?
No, we've not got that close over the years.
I did a few years ago. A colleague of mine did a karaoke with. She plays the violin.
Oh wow!
She got a band together, and you could do the karaoke, but you had to pick a song that had a violin piece in it.
Oh wow!
I chose Whatever by Oasis because it starts off with those violins, right?
Yeah.
And I spent weeks trying to learn it. So, because obviously there was no words to read, you just had to get the mic and sing it. And I mean, I let others decide how good it was, but probably that.
So Ash loves this question. we always ask our guests.
It's like a broken record, this is, ain't it?
Well, no, this is how segments work in a show. Do we not know this? Come on.
Thanks, Wes. Thanks, Wes, for segmenting our show.
So, have you got a question for us? Come on,
just
ping
you
one. Yeah. I thought you asked the one that I thought you were going to ask.
I'm gonna have to let my dog in, otherwise she's gonna take the door down.
I do have a question.
Actually.
So being in the US, I often I feel you lose a little bit of a grip on what's happening in the UK.
Okay.
Because it's like things are happening. Like, how are you guys feeling about the world of design in the UK at the moment? What are you optimistic or is it tough, or what's it feeling like?
I think the industry generally is tough, like for business wise. I think that's a global thing. I'm assuming it's a global thing from the conversations that I've been having. But like you said earlier on, that having conversations with people shouldn't just be at the point of desperation, because that's when networking becomes networking that everyone hates. Or just doing it for a reason of getting something out of someone. So I'm saying that because there's always, when you build conversation, you have conversations and you build relationships, you can always reach out to those people and have those conversations. And then again, we've done it time and time again, haven't we? Like being vulnerable and say, look, things aren't great here at the moment. Is there anything out there? And something pops up, and you have conversation, and it leads to something. So
one thing I will say, like on a trend level, I've noticed is companies, people's clients are less responsive to something that's a bit more risky, or they have to be brave, because based off of the economic state, there's more of a gamble to try something that they don't, they feel would not work, or they feel that would not return an ROI. So I've noticed that previously in the last 5-10 years, we had these massive design trends, especially in graphic design, and all of a sudden all those risks have now disappeared because we have to be safer. We've got to be closer. We can't risk getting this wrong. So it turns into more like guaranteed commodity based decisions rather than let's try and stand out and be brave and be disruptive. And I think the epiphany was the whole like Lunchables thing this week, which I think we've had a discussion back and forth between us. Yes, it's great that they disrupted and they went and tried to take on, but if you think about, in reality, all they've done is they've chosen a product and a market that's safe, that's needed, and attacked it, and just tried to use 3 brands to elevate it. Do you know what I mean? When really, when you break it down, it's not great. It's not great design. It's not great product. It's not great strategy. But they know it's going to sell because they can angle off 3 power brands that's kind of hit a demographic already, and they know it's going to commercialize. And that to me is sad, in a way.
Well, I think another trend that I've seen as well is the everyone's becomes like a designer, and what I mean by that is that a lot of things have been brought in house. Like I lost a massive client that we've been working with for over 10 years because they were doing a lot more in house. Everyone started using InDesign, Illustrator, Photoshop, whatever, even Canva, and yeah. So I think, I don't know whether that's just a UK trend or that's another global trend.
No, I think definitely global.
Yeah.
I guess from a client perspective, there's also, because the economy's tanking. There's like, sort of fear there. So trying to bring something brave or something different to a client, that you believe can help their business is different. It's going to stand out. It's going to be like something that is going to help. I think clients are a little bit averse to that at the moment, just because the people are getting laid off and they want to keep the jobs and all these other things, right? And losing 1% on a big brand is like, can add up, right? So I think another thing I've noticed is there was a really good talk in Denver about this, which was about more agile ways to research designs and to be able to test the design out, not go through the months of research that some do, but do it in real time to prove some points, to be able to have something to back up a brave design, have something that you can tangibly talk to a client about, and say, look, we've put this in front of a bunch of people, and that it's got this 10% uptick in like whatever, right? And that is something that it's funny. You go to a design conference and the talk that kind of inspires you is about research.
But
it sets something off in our brains when we were there, because we're like, well, that actually is a good way of, if you are a company that values braver design, you don't want to stand for mediocre design, you can have some kind of basis, some kind of like data that you can give to a client, and that client especially if they're kind of measured on those metrics, those decision makers, which a lot of marketers are obviously validating along the way and taking a little bit of data, not a huge amount, before you launch things, whatever it is, and giving them what they need. It's like we talked about having that vocabulary in conversations when we talk about strategy. We never talk about brand strategy. We talk about business objectives and business results, because they're the people that are actually making the decisions whether they're going to do, what you're proposing or working with you.
It's interesting, isn't it? All right, so Ben, let's wrap it up. So, is there anything happening in Ben's world then? We broke down this metaphoric Berlin Wall. We've gone through the other side. Yeah. What's next for Ben?
I think so. Where Stampede Creative is at the moment is we've spent the last couple of months really sort of trying to generate some new clients, get some new projects. Can't name names, but at the moment we've gone through that, and some and it was hard and it was a bit scary, but we're kind of starting to generate some things which we're all very excited about. More on a more sort of mentorship level, the D&AD shift work that I've done has led to me designing like they call them masterclasses.
Yep.
And it's basically a mentor program for my particular one is for mid-level creatives who are stuck in a rut and basically need a bit of inspiration. So I've been pulling that together, and that's due to launch towards the end of the year. So, and that's more of a, it's a little revenue thing, but it's also kind of, it's fun. It's like,
it's sticking to your morals, man, your ethos, you're helping, in the trenches with Ben. That's wicked.
Exactly. And that's exciting. So, so it's kind of, we're in this, we're feeling good. We're happy with where we're going. And I think, that's good. But, we want to blow it up and we want to do more. So, we'll see where it takes us.
Yeah, man.
As soon as you introduce strategy, Ben, then you've got 3 lads here that's willing to jump on a plane. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Wouldn't mind that. Oh, John is here as well. Look at that.
Hey, finally.
And guys, before we wrap it up, I think a lot of what we said it was about having the ability to be vulnerable and talk with others. I think sometimes as creative we get stuck in our own tunnels, in our own echo chambers, and like we don't really want to open up. But I think many other people in the industry around you are going through something similar or went through something similar. So maybe it's just about coming together and have a chat. Let's chat some more. Let's have more conversations. All of us, I know, if we have time, we will be available to help some others. And you're not alone. Just
I was going to
talk
say
with
that,
someone.
Yeah, my inbox is open, man. Like, jump in my DMs. Like, I always make time.
You can never figure it all out on your own anyway. Like
100%.
You need to talk to people. You need to
borrow some stories, borrow some words.
I go back to this. This is like therapy. This is like good. Get off your chest. You feel energized. You kind of
look at the people in the chat that's relating to this. Like,
talk to a mate.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Ben. It's been a pleasure, man.
Yeah, awesome, man.
Yeah, thanks so much for your time, man. Like, you mentioned the stuff that you're doing. Are you much of a social media person? Like, what's the best way to follow you and for these updates then?
I'm on all the platforms. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't say I was like a hardcore social. I'm trying to figure that out at the moment. Because I think with social media, you need a point of view, right? And you kind of need to figure out what you're trying to do. So with LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever it might be, right? And I think that's kind of where I am. I want, if I'm posting things, I don't want it just to be like more fluff that just adds to the noise. I want it to be like things that bring the authenticity of what we're trying to do through, but also, a point of view, right? And kind of can be a bit more vulnerable maybe. So I'm on LinkedIn. If you just find me there and
cool. So I'll imagine you'll get a few more followers after this because it's been really inspiring. Thank you very much.
Yeah, really good, Ben.
Awesome.
Appreciate you, buddy.
Take care. Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend and go team.
Leeds. See that? We didn't even talk football. Like, what happened?
Yeah, because it's not that type of podcast, is it?
Man, come on.
Because otherwise I'd be talking like non-stop.
Yeah, you'd be talking about But ain't it mad? Like I said, I wrapped up here, but to wrap this session up, when we hit that metaphoric wall, we've got to be prepared to kind of act and accept in a certain way, and that's being brave. It's taking that step forward to be vulnerable. To realize that that we have to be open and accepting, and we have to try new shit to try and find new inspiration, and then that leads us into this place of kind of being selfish, making those moves for us and nobody else, because that's the only fucking thing, the only person that's going to get us through this is us. You know? And that's how we have to be. You know what I mean? And he's a gem. He's a lovely guy. And I think to share it.
I think a lot of people, like reaching out to people, I think they're just scared as well, just to reach out to people.
Yeah. Don't be afraid, man. Like I tell everyone, if you want to be in my DM, get in my DM. Yeah. We'll find a time or place for you. And the people that's normally in the chat, I have done that. And I'm probably still mentoring them in some way or form now.
I had that this week. Someone like reached out to me, put a call in, and we just got in a conversation. There was no agenda. Yeah. And he was like, I can't believe you said yes to.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it's mad.
I'm sure everyone does that. Like, you just got to get past that. Like,
if you're not trying to sell me something, I'm listening. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. When you put yourself up there, 99.9% of the people will be receptive for it.
yeah. Real people, decent people will recognize that that's a big thing to do. You know, and I think you'd be fools not to kind of reach out and ask.
Yeah. Just don't sell shit.
Just don't sell me shit, or give me leads, or fucking whatever else you're gonna try and sell me.
What do you mean, Leeds football?
No, you can give me leads. Don't give me 60 leads, a week or whatever you're gonna try and do for me.
Boys, good
Love you.
weekend.
What?
Yeah.
Love you.
What a session!
Yeah.
Wait for the next one. The next one's gonna go up another level.
Who we have next?
Oh, I can't tell you, can I?
You bastard! You bastard! I thought you were gonna fail. I thought you were gonna just spill.
We're good. I can say it's a she. That's good.
Ooh, diversity, fucking finally, because it's too much of a sausage party here lately, you know.
It's amazing. And Ben's just got in the back channel here, and he's like stampedecreative.com if you want to check them out.
STAMPEDE creative.com.
Yeah, and sorry that my dog's been a bit of a madam. I think Martin's yours as well.
Yeah, she was just banging on the door. I had to get her in, otherwise the
We
door would be.
we should have also said, actually, I think Ben's still there, and hopefully you can hear me, Ben. But like, just get on the comments of this chat as well, because people, you can reply to people and have conversations there.
And I think we need to talk to Mark at some point, because Mark's making me giggle.
We need to get Mark.
Mark is coming on. I'm already on it. Like,
you know what? And I love what you just said, because I was reading that, like this here, like Fried Solo makes me part of the squadron, man. That's why we need Mark on, man.
Yeah, he's
Let's
coming.
have a chat.
It might not be until March next year, mate.
No, it could be the Christmas party one.
Oh, it could be Santa.
We don't know. We have, by the way, jokes aside, on a serious note, we have bangers coming up on the water cooler.
Fun times ahead.
Yeah, man.
One final thing as well, I should have said this at the start. Go to YouTube, check out all the previous episodes, subscribe there.
Support us. It's non-profit. We're just trying to help get some good voices out there. So please give some love.
Yeah, man. We're here to share the love, man. That's what this is about, right? It's airing the voice of reason to LinkedIn.
Right.
Bye, guys. Have a lovely weekend.
Have a great weekend, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Ciao.